Right guys, welcome back to another podcast this week, the weekly Two Banks of Fourcast, where we will be discussing a double game week of football. Whether how much we discuss of it, I'm not sure. But we are joined back with James Batchelor today, who is our fourth and special guest for this episode. So, how you doing, Batch?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, mate. You?
Very good. How the rest of us doing?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Same as always.
Yeah, not bad.
Bit different this weekend.
Yeah,
three points on the board for the Wolves.
Yeah,
For the Villa as well.
weird week
Class.
of football. Weird week. Some proper winners and some proper losers this week over the 2 game weeks. The Merseyside derby.
As,
I wouldn't
as
say
rubbish as always.
You know
No, I thought it was quite
I thought it was quite an
0-0 or
entertaining
1-1.
game. I thought it was a quite entertaining game. I didn't say the scoreline, obviously.
There's no-nos go.
There's no-nos go. It was good, and obviously the Cody disallowed goal.
Gutted for Cody.
Good. Cody, I'm sorry, but how can you be like a Liverpool fan and celebrate like that against Liverpool?
I guess I've always thought this, but I guess as a pro, when you're playing for other teams and you're associating yourself with other teams and you've got the fans supporting you, you probably lose. It's probably not the same. He's probably more of a Wolves fan. When he retires and he wants one team to win it, right now, if he retired now, it'd probably be Wolves.
He said his kids are gonna be. He's gonna grow his kids up as Wolves fans. Like I think. Yeah, poor kids. So I think he's disassociated from. And I think he's a sort of bloke who the club he plays for is. That's him. You know, he's 100% into that.
Yeah, he is.
But yeah, no. A few key points from the past couple of game weeks then. So Arsenal looked like they'd done enough against Villa. It was a very cagey game in the end. It shouldn't have been. Played very, very well at the start. Conceded a bit of a freak goal to Douglas Luiz.
Not a freak goal.
As far as
skill.
it was, he fair enough to him. He meant it, but in terms of Arsenal standards, they should have won that game 4-5-0. Martinez, you could argue, should have saved both goals. But then again, he stopped about 3 or 4 of us that were guaranteed to go in. Obviously, then they travelled to Old Trafford on Sunday, and I actually thought they played alright. I really didn't think they were as bad as the scoreline made out, and I think that United was also played well. Not taken away from United. I think the Anthony goal was really nice. There was something like 15, 16 passes in the build-up, so it's clearly a good goal. But the counter-attack ruined them. In the end, they went for it, they pushed for it, and it didn't pay off.
Marcus Rashford is back, baby.
He is. And, Saliba, and everyone's point was, what was this Arsenal side going to be like against a good side? Against a team full of quality. They've beat the likes of Fulham, Villa, Palace, but then they've gone to a United team in form, full of big names, and realistically, they've crumbled.
No, I don't think you can write Arsenal off for that.
I'm not writing them off.
That Martinelli goal stands earlier on, obviously, a bit unfortunate. It was a foul in the build-up, I'd say. But I still think this Arsenal team looks incredible. United hit a good bit of form as well, but I wouldn't be worried if I was Arsenal. I'd still very much look back and finish top 4.
Question for you, right, real quick, when we're on United. So, obviously, you got absolutely hammered start of the season. For the first 2 games, you went in on Ten Hag. You said he was naive.
Yeah.
Bringing in Martinez. He's just got Player of the Month. So you've held your hands up on, I think it was episode 5, and said, look,
Player of the Month
I got it wrong.
Way, not like Player of the Month.
I know, but you held your hands up.
I got Player of the Month for Kemsey, mate.
You held your hands up, you said you got it wrong. What's the ceiling for this United side this season? What's a good season? What's a bad season?
Wow. I think now you're looking at the United, cracking a bit of form. I think their only goal can be top 4. They're not going to go better than that. But I think top 4 is a good season.
Cup competitions?
Yeah. I much prefer it though when small is the wrong word, but when a team, I'd much rather see Villa, Leicester, Wolves, Brighton, West Ham in the cups. But I think United, they could. Ten Hag might want to do almost what Arteta did in that first season and get the cup in the bank, so he can say, "Look, we've got something."
Gives them a bit of leverage.
But I think if he walked into the office and the United board, Champions League, what they want, and he'd also want that for the players you're going to attract. I think next season they have to be a Champions League club, so they can go and sign. Obviously getting a player of Casemiro's calibre in is fantastic. That's not going to be something they can do every window. So I think they've got to be looking top 4. They've got to stay in the conversation with Arsenal, with Spurs. Traditionally Liverpool, I'm not quite sure. We'll speak about them later. But yeah, top 4 for Man United. Fair play to Martinez, Ten Hag. He's got it right by bringing Varane in. Maybe I should have been going at Maguire and not Martinez. But no, fair play. And it's a good reaction. It's fantastic to see a squad react. So it just shows that Ten Hag can get those players to do what a lot of managers fail to do.
I don't want to go off topic already, but obviously talking about Rashford, obviously people sort of written him off a bit, but he's sort of coming back to it a bit now, isn't he? I'm going to go off topic, but Rashford, Sterling, Grealish, Sancho and Saka are all of them going to the World Cup. Because that's something I've just thought about on the past week.
No, I don't think Rashford goes.
got 5 of them.
It's a 26-man squad.
I think Grealish is in trouble.
Yeah.
I really think Grealish could be in trouble. Obviously, he's picked up a knock. He's not getting starts right now. He was poor in the Charity Shield, which was a big moment for him because, it was... Everyone's been doing this whole thing about how...
Second season
with Pep, and he played and he was poor. And he played again in the early stages of the season and he didn't really light anything up. He's now got a striker who's going to score a disgusting amount of goals, and I'm sure we'll go on to him later, in Erling Haaland. So the excuses are out the window. He's in probably one of the best Premier League sides of all time. The question is, can he get in front of Foden?
Yeah.
And then you've got Alvarez as another problem. I just think Jack Grealish has got so much to do. And look, it's Southgate. We know he doesn't. We know he says he's going to pick on form, but doesn't. He has his favourites.
But Grealish was never a favourite.
I know, but since he's been in that City squad, he's put performances that have not been anywhere near like he was at Villa, and still gets in the squad. So
I'd just like to say congratulations to the winner of this week's Jack Grealish bingo. It was 6 minutes into the podcast. No, but in all seriousness, there's a lot of the English players though. Mount, I would argue Foden's not even playing that well. You got a bloke like I know different position before everyone gets me in the comments, but you got someone like Tony kicking on.
It's got to be a second striker.
Southgate
Over Tammy.
Southgate
I'd
has
say so.
But Southgate has got a look. But like I said, this isn't talking about England squad episode.
Going back to the Arsenal game, I was just going to ask you, Arsenal, bad day at the office or something to worry about beneath the layers of all the success that's gone on the first couple of games?
I'm not sure. I don't think it's something to worry about. Looking back at the stats, they had something like 60% possessions. They dominated the ball. I think they had double the amount of touches in the box compared to Man United. I just think maybe the game plan from Ten Hag, playing on the counter-attack, exposing the centre-backs, because to be fair, Arsenal do play quite a high line. They have Rashford, Anthony, Sancho running in behind.
Clay did his own work this week. He's listened to me.
I think that just worked. I think Arsenal want to control the ball, don't they?
Yeah. You're getting glimpses of
Pep ball,
but it's obviously not quite there yet, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
Whether it will ever get there with the personnel Arteta's got at his disposal, that's a whole different argument. But yeah, no, I'd agree with you. I think it was a bad day at the office. I think Arsenal bounced back. I think Jesus, again, quality. I think he didn't do much wrong. Odegaard, you'd argue he has to put that one home or at least get it on target, the one which he slices out.
But equally, I think you offer Arsenal fans the points they've got at this point.
Oh, well,
they take them. Look at so.
I mean,
but
historically, historically Arsenal aren't too bad. In this turbulent era that I like to call, the end of the Wenger era,
and a bit of the things
Emery and Arteta, that kind of last 10 years, a bit of a turbulent time to be an Arsenal fan, Arsenal squad. I actually think that they haven't been too bad against the big boys over these years. For me, it's been more.
I agree. They've been a bit
Fulham's,
toothless against
the
smaller teams.
A lot of the other 14 clubs in the league would look at Arsenal at the Big Six and think, I'll go at them.
We can get something,
we can get something out of them. Villa, obviously referencing Villa again, just because I know off the top of my head, we did 6 points against them in lockdown season, then beat them in the season before to basically keep us up. Again, would that happen against City, Liverpool, Chelsea? I don't think he's going to do that. I really don't. But then Arsenal, again, first 5 games looked unstoppable. Villa were never beating them on Wednesday or Tuesday, whenever it was. And I think once they get a big result against a Big Six team under their belt, they'll be flying. Because if they'd have beat United, they'd have gone 4 points clear at the top. Brilliant, great. But that doesn't mean they're going to beat City, and that doesn't mean they're going to beat Liverpool and Chelsea and Tottenham. Because the North London derby's coming up, and that for me is the first game, big game of the season where we're going to think, okay, where's Spurs at? Where are Arsenal at?
Yeah, I'm actually buzzing for that, North London derby. I think I think any football fan gets excited about derbies. It doesn't, other than Brighton versus Crystal Palace.
Is that a derby?
I mean, you still get excited about it.
But watching that, and I think the football is almost coming to North London this year, so that is a real fixture to watch. Hopefully, be able to get an Arsenal or a Spurs fan on at some point, so we can delve deeper into North London football.
One thing I'd say about Aston is maybe they're lacking a bit of depth in the squad at the moment. Just obviously, saw them going for Douglas so easy in the transfer window.
I think a lot of teams are though at the moment.
There's concern about that midfield spot. I think at Arsenal, obviously, Partey should be playing anyway.
Lokonga's done well when he's came in though. To be honest,
it's difficult to carry a midfielder, isn't it? What you ask from these midfielders, you need quality players, and it's so difficult to carry another one. You look even at City. I know Phillips is his first season, but the bloke's barely playing. Like, to go out there and get someone of the quality you need who's going to be prepared to take that role, you can only look at... I don't know that much about Dougie Luiz, but I'm going to say an unhappy player or a player who's looking to move on.
I think he's got a great... I think he's got a... One thing you can't say about Dougie...
He's not going to be there next year though, is he?
I don't think he's going to be there next year.
That's what
I will say is his attitude, considering everything that's been going on...
It's class.
It's been class.
He's got to keep his missus happy though, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. 100%. You can't blame him for that. But yeah, no, I think Arsenal, bad day at the office.
Yeah, they're not. It's not season over.
No.
I don't even think it was really a bad day. I think it was just more.
It's a day that just didn't go their way.
Exactly. Yeah. Moving over to the white half of North London, Spurs still unbeaten. Again, just seem to be getting those wins over the line at the moment. Nothing pretty, but it's classic Antonio Conte.
This is what we said, though, isn't it? I think we said this before the season started. As the season started, Conte's bought players in that squad who can get him over the line. He's a manager who loves to do that, and he's got a squad to be feared. I think you always know when you're playing Spurs. If there's a one goal in that game, that the Spurs side will be able to grab it. So yeah, definitely a really competitive Spurs side, a side who I don't think you'd want to play, to be honest.
No, I don't think you would.
Tottenham are the only top 6 side that we haven't got a result against since getting promoted.
Is that true?
I think so, yeah.
Being 2-1.
I mean, that... Did we? Oh, shit. Oh, okay, I forgot what you said.
Great knowledge.
Fun fact.
But no, yeah. The other game that really stuck out to me, I think we're going to move on to some of the VAR and refereeing decisions after this, because it's the main talking point of the weekend.
Yeah.
But the other result, Nottingham Forest going 2-0 up at home to Bournemouth and losing 3-2.
I really worry for Forest. You look at teams this season, you'd argue the only dead cert to go down was Bournemouth, but even then they've just pulled that off against Forest.
Oh yeah,
Forest. I think you're really looking at Forest potentially going down this season.
You know what I worry about?
Likes who you'd argue that their competition is Fulham, look very good. Likes of Villa and Everton just put in 2 really good performances against
as well.
The 2 biggest clubs in the league. Forest, I don't think Forest could do that. And Bournemouth, who they've just lost to. So realistically, it's spent a hell of a lot of money. Obviously, it's never going to be. They're never going to accept going down because until they're relegated, they're going to be fighting.
I worry. You know,
it's
I worry
something they've got to look at.
I worry for them, not even just from the point of we're going to be in the Championship up again. The amount of players they're going to have to ship out. They'll have relegation clauses in there. Yeah. They'll have players on ridiculous wages. But, financial fair play in the Championship is a different beast. It's a different beast because it's all about how much you're bringing in across from how much you're spending.
But, to be honest, if Forest went down, I think I'd smile. I was excited to see them back in the league. I was excited to see that ground back in the league, the club with that history, and the way they've been in the transfer window is stupid. I don't understand it.
I think it's really naive.
And I'm a bit disappointed in Steve Cooper as well, because I really like Steve Cooper as a manager. He's done some fantastic thing with young lads. Obviously, he's gone after Gibbs White, who seems to be his sort of star boy. So, fair play for that signing. But you look at a lot of these signings and you think, firstly, you've got a squad who've got promoted. You've got to give some of them a chance.
Yeah.
You can't. And then you look at, is it 21 they've ended with? So almost 2 new full sides.
Well, half of them ain't going to get in the smash day
exactly.
squad.
Yeah, so half the signings won't even work anyway. And then some of it, I just think, was available players will have them.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. I don't see the system behind it. They bought Dennis in for 20 million, and that a 1 year. So that's 2 strikers there. They've got Johnson, they've got Gibbs White, Lingard. That's another three
Random
attacking
Loddy.
midfielders.
The mistakes-
Ronan Loddy.
wingers.
Yeah.
The mistakes
no.
I think they've made is James Garner was available this season. Keenan Davis was available this season. What they should have put those two back in for
a bit of a spine.
continuity
Yeah.
to keep that spine instead of signing. I'm not going to try. I can't remember his name, but the one from Union Berlin. He's like, I don't know if he started horrendously, but you have to keep even if on paper the players that you've come up with aren't
You need a
as
dressing
good,
room.
you need to keep that resemblance of solidarity together.
For me-
And I think if they'd have signed James Garner instead of, try if they've signed a centre mid.
The midfielders, yeah, they did.
And if they'd have signed Keenan Davis instead of that Union Berlin striker, even then I'd have a hell of a lot more like confidence over Forest.
I think the reason it's so annoying and frustrating as a neutral is because you look over the years, the teams that have come up. Villa came up, spent a fortune. Realistically, would they have stayed up if it wasn't for the lockdown, 3-month break, whatever it was? I think they were rotten going down. Last game before lockdown was a 4-0 loss away at Leicester. Fulham came up, spent a fortune, bought silly players like that Seri, players that aren't going to be in the scrap. They're not going to go in and fight for their lives.
Yeah,
You know?
Fulham, they skipped some steps, didn't
Well, exactly, yeah. You don't, in my opinion, when you go up, you don't want to bring in players that...
Luxury players.
Luxury players. You want to bring in players that almost, if you go down, they're going down with you.
Yeah.
Because then they're fighting for their lives. Most of those players that went up with Villa bought and Fulham bought when they went up, and probably a lot of Wolves, but it went well for Wolves. And
Yeah,
got
ours worked.
Wolves work, but that's because there's a philosophy in that club.
Yeah,
the Portuguese philosophy.
Yeah.
You've obviously got Mendes running a lot of things behind the scenes.
And we'd already bought a lot of big names in the championship.
Exactly.
So there was we had that continuity that Adam's speaking about.
Again, these Villa players and Fulham players, they were in that squad. They all had their next big contract waiting for them. There was no way half of those players that were signed were going down with them. Again, Forest, we're talking only 4 seasons ago here. Forest have watched this.
Yeah.
I think maintaining your spine is so
And it's
crucial
something
for a
that
going up
Fulham
team.
have done this year.
And they've done it, and they've backed it.
Brentford did it last year.
Brentford, you've got to trust the guys who've done the dirty work and got you up. Because I tell you, a relegation battle and going up for trying to get promoted from the Championship, they ain't too indifferent.
you need that same sort of
You're
steer.
fighting for every single point. And these flashy players from abroad, are they going to be in it? Are they going to be in it big time straight away? They've got to learn the language. They've got to... Like Renan Loddy, I look at for Forest, Atletico Madrid fullback. Is he going to be, is he going to be scrapping for his life to keep that club up, or is he knowing that he's on loan and he's going to be going back there
But
at the end of the season?
equally, it's a bit daft in the sense that in the Premier League, which is something that I think Wolves really got this wrong in the time it took us to get our signings through the door. But every point counts, and they brought all these players in. And they've, that 3 points at Bournemouth. When Steve Cooper sat down in the office at the start of the season, he would have said Bournemouth at home got to be 3 points. So they've thrown some points away at the start of the season already. You're now going to take probably 2 or 3 weeks to blend these guys in. Before you know it, you're like a quarter of the way into the season, and you've just got he'll just know his best 11. So now you're working with less fixtures to get more points.
He's got to employ his philosophy onto these players.
Yeah.
That it took him a season to do in the Championship.
Yeah, he's got to relay it all.
He's got to relay the whole thing. Look at Potter at Brighton. Potter went into Swansea after getting Östersunds and promoted 3 times and getting the Europa League football. By the way, absolutely outstanding achievement. I can't believe another club didn't pick him up in that time. But he's gone to Swansea, and that Swansea team, they weren't great. They were mid to lower table in the Championship, but they went on that amazing FA Cup run. Had a great performance against City, nearly knocked them out.
Yeah.
And everyone could see what he was trying to do. And then he went to Brighton. He's had a few duff seasons. Last season looked like it was going to be something special, and it probably underwhelmed a little bit at the final position. But the football they were playing, the signings they bring in for cheap and they sell for expensive.
Yeah.
They got a good system. Cooper reminds me a lot of Potter because, let's be honest, he picked up this Forest side bottom of the league and got them promoted. So you can't argue about how good this bloke is, because clearly he's a very talented manager. Went up for the ranks of the England and
Beat Arsenal as well.
Yeah.
went up with the England young England teams, beat Leicester and Arsenal in the FA Cup, and I think it was League Cup as well last season.
The England thing that also annoys me. Sorry, you finish your point after, but he would have worked with some of the best kids England have got, and he's just not looking at any of them. Like, there'll be some of those kids from his setup, possibly not even from that side, but other than Gibbs White's the only kid he's kept.
Even Hudson-Odoi's available.
I just think why Steve Cooper's missed a massive chance. And even if I was Welsh as well, I'd be asking Steve Cooper to look at the home nations, and I don't think he has, and I think that's something he'll regret. Sorry, Edwin, what are you saying?
I completely agree. I just think sometimes stick with your guns. If you go down, you go down fighting. And I think Fulham messed up by sacking Jukanovic the season they went up. I think they got rid of him too early. They played a really nice style of football. They had homegrown lads, Sessegnon, Kearney, and they really did well in the Championship. They went up, they threw money at European players, they tried to play a different brand of football. Just trust the process. That's what I'd say to some of these teams going up. It's not gone terribly badly for some of the other teams. Villa, they stuck with Smith when easily under new ownership going into the Premier League could have lost their heads. Got a big foreign name in. They didn't. They stuck with Smith. Wolves, Nuno was a great appointment in the Championship. Getting Neves into the Championship was like almost an anomaly. That shouldn't have happened. Let's be honest. Jota in the Championship shouldn't have happened. Way too good for that level. But they kept them. They trusted them. And they used them to their advantage because they managed to get other Portuguese players in.
And even now, Neves is, I think Leo Bonatini's technically contracted, but Neves is the only player. He now is the only player left from that Championship squad. But we've been in the league 4 years. That's how long it's taken us to. And it's only because Nuno's gone. This window, you look, Sayis, Cody, Dendoncker, Bolly have gone. That would have been a big part of the guard. And it's only just now that's gone. And I think Forest. And when Forest went up, they gave it so large about Worrell, Yates.
Yeah.
And you just chuck them to the gutter now. So that's the reason why for me I wouldn't care if Forest went down.
And one final point on Forest before we do move on to the VAR and the officiating this weekend. When you go up, I think the first season, we'd all admit, the first season's about staying up. You've just got to stay in the league. Definitely. If it's by goal difference, if it's by point, you stay in the league, you celebrate it. That's a great achievement. Because it's a different beast going up from the Championship into the Premier League. So, you go in there, you fight for every point, you play shit football if you've got to. But then, once you've stayed up, it's all about the process of what you do next.
No,
and you've got to...
Second season and arguably third season, exact same mentality. It's when you're not a team that's getting that huge...
No, but that's not what that was. My point was, you've got to have a plan in place. And I think Wolves have had that. You look at the players that get you up and you think, how many seasons we're getting out of them at this top level? And you've got to look and think... At what point do we cast on shore and say, no, it's not happening, we're getting a new person?
Yeah.
Pep does it, brilliant. Fergie was the best at it.
Yeah.
Fergie went through 4 or 5 teams in his tenure at United, and he kept recycling. He was so good. Keane was on his way out. He had bloody Carrick and Fletcher coming in.
Moyes at Everton, he always worked on a
3-year
cycle.
Again, Villa, O'Neill did it very well in those years he was there. He knew when to get rid of the players. He knew when they weren't good enough anymore. Wolves, I think, are very good at it. Dendoncker, again, we'll see how it goes at Villa. Probably the player just needed a new chapter.
I think Dendoncker is the sort of thing like you speak to Wolves fans. No one's gutted that he's gone, but we have lost a solid 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10.
It's a player Villa needs.
It's like we've just done it with Al Ghazi. A success story in new ownership eras that Villa and Wolves are both in. A success story. But my main point is going back. You've got to know when the time is up on these players.
Yeah.
And I worry that Leicester are falling into that trap now. I think Leicester are looking at Jamie Vardy, don't get me wrong, great player, Johnny Evans, Daniel Amartey. Should they have cashed in on Ndidi a few years ago?
Yeah, probably.
We'll look and see if they'll regret that.
I mean, Wolves, we got Adama wrong, I will say that.
Do you reckon?
We should have sold Adama at the spike.
You said that with Villa as well, Sanson.
I just think that it's so important, and it all goes back to Forest going up, because that's what my point was. If Forest had just to stay in the league, they'd bought some clever signings in, Premier League savvy signings.
5 or 6 players.
I know Noble said he's retiring. Even if you get Mark Noble in a year just for the dressing room,
the one
stuff like that.
Koyate.
But we've seen how much money they've spent. They could have bought in some very solid Premier League players tempted them with wages from maybe clubs like Southampton that aren't paying them as much. But they haven't.
Well, they have a bit. You got Koyate, Lingard, Henderson. Henderson not as much, but players that know the Prem a bit. So I think they are relying on a bit of that.
Lingard doesn't know the scrap though, does he?
Maybe a couple more, didn't they?
I think they do have players that know the league, and it's always going to be a gamble. But I presume they are assuming you have those players that know the league, and it's always going to be. A lot of teams have done it. I mean, Villa did stay up. Bear in mind, I know it was partly down to COVID, so it is a plan that is like it's not destined to fail. At the end of the day, we are 5 games in. Forest find their first 11, get a good bit of run. They're up to 15th, 14th. And this conversation might as well never have happened.
And that's the same with every episode of this podcast. Though. We've got to take everything with a pinch of salt because we are in the early stages and anything can happen. We were thundering on Steven Gerrard last week, and he's going to get a point against City, and everything suddenly changed. He's probably bought himself a few more games. So yeah. Anyway, moving on to the VAR and refereeing decisions. So VAR is back in the talking point in all the headlines again this weekend.
All the bad reasons.
Again, I think we all collectively agree VAR is a good thing, and if you're watching this podcast thinking otherwise, please do comment your opinion because it is interesting. It's an interesting debate, but we've all said before, we've on record saying that VAR is a good thing. Being used by idiots, it's terribly ran, but it's needed because the amount of decisions. It's easy when all these bad decisions are happening to forget about how bad it was before. And it was bad. It was some of the decisions we were seeing, the non-penalties given, the offsides, terrible. But yeah,
can I sort of start this off by a little rant and you can pick it apart?
Go for it.
So the first thing I'd like to talk about is just referees and how VAR is being used. I'm convinced 10, 15 years time something is coming out about corruption or bias in the Premier League because I don't know in like what context it'll be, but some of these decisions are shocking and obvious for 99% of people to make. Hence this weekend we've seen Bowen apparently kicking Mendy. Like, what is that about? And just plenty of other decisions, especially towards the traditional big clubs, which surely you've got to use a bit of common sense. So that's the first thing. I don't even want to talk about it yet, or I'll carry on. But the next thing I'd like to say is the idea of flagging while the ball's still in play. I get that there's an argument to be made that what happens if an injury happens after the flag's been up and it turns out to be offside. But when football's such a moment sport and it's such a where one goal can mean the world, when you're flagging early and it doesn't turn out to be offside, you're denying a hell of a lot. Like a hell of a lot. Which brings me on to the third little point. 2022, the technology is in this world. Linesmen, make them redundant. What is their job?
Get a robot in.
Literally, get a robot in. Offsides are that yes or no?
Or like the 100-metre sprint.
Get a robot in to do. I don't think it's saying easy to send a robot. There's obviously a bit more sophistication to it. But get something isn't a human that can make errors in to decide offside because offsides aren't opinionated. Offside isn't a like thing. Oh, I think it is. I think it's not. It's yes or no. So get something to make that decision, which flags straight away if it's off, and keep it going if it's on. Because too many moments in football being flagged offside when they're not, which we don't know. We don't know the sort of things that could be being denied at the moment. And then on the other side, I don't want someone being flagged not offside when it is offside and then getting a big injury. So pick that apart.
Do you think that football could take a page out of cricket's book in terms of, obviously cricket's had technology for a long time now, but I look back to the World Cup final. Obviously England needed to run out New Zealand to win the game. Even though it was clear as day, the umpire straight away goes to the is it what DR? What I don't know what they call it, but like they go to the referee. They go to the referee in the box. Regardless, he could have been 100% correct. He still did it just to double check. I almost think it's the opposite what the linesman should do. And I get, like you said, the argument you said about how players get injured after the line. Yeah, okay, I get if they flag it's completely obvious. If Ollie Watkins is 5 metres offside and they ping the ball over, don't waste everyone's time and get the flag up.
And the frustrating
but they're so
sometimes they leave that
it's because they're so incompetent that is what they're taught. If they look obviously offside, but they're so incompetent, these linesmen, that he's 5 metres offside when he's not. So they're flagging thinking he is because for some reason, I don't know, they're fucking looking at the flowers on the side of the pitch or something that just like continue. These linesmen, they should be stocking shelves at Sainsbury's in 10 years' time. There is no need for them at all. Get a robot in to make these yes or no decisions.
Hang on, let's stop then. Right, we've agreed the refs report, blah de blah. We've got to get berating them. No one's going to achieve anything. Like, what's the plan going forwards? How do we change it? You've mentioned things like cricket and rugby.
First things first, you start at the bottom. It's like anything regarding quality of player, referee, staff. You start at the bottom. You dangle some serious cash in front of these referees' faces when they're young. The FA needs to start pumping more money. Everyone looks at football, you think, where's the money? Players, managers. Everyone wants to grow up being a footballer. You need kids almost somehow. I don't know how you do it.
Choosing to be a referee.
You want them to be a referee at a young age. Yeah, you can do ref.
Did any of you do reffing?
Yeah, I was a ref.
He was a ref.
What was it like for you then when you?
Well, I refed. I think I can't remember what age it is. I think you have to be 13 or 14 or something like that. So I did. It was 2 Saturdays and a Wednesday night to get qualified at a college, and then after that you went out. You did 5 games, and then you have a meeting afterwards, basically to say whether you could do it or not. And you got on your 5 games, you got given loads of feedback. But the difficulties with reffing, so the reasons I packed it in are obviously you're at an age you can't drive when you start. So if you don't live next to a football pitch, you've got to have some form of transport.
Do you get to choose the pitches you want to
You could give them the postcodes of the areas. Obviously it's a Saturday. As you do get older, it becomes a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
So it becomes a difficult sort of time to wake up. You go out on a Friday. And people always say, well, you can't drink till you're 18. Like,
no.
Alcoholic Friday nights start from about 14 and 15. And you're possibly even worse on those Saturday mornings than you are when you get older.
Correct.
I never packed it in for the abuse or anything like that. I genuinely don't think that's an issue. And I'd also say, if we're going to go from a bottom to top clear out, any ref who can't handle a few comments, I don't want you in the game anyway. I think that what the FA needed to do more of was more connection with the refs. And that needs to be done on the refs' time. Like, they always emailed about, like, a Saturday morning meeting and stuff like that, or a Saturday afternoon meeting. It's like, no 15-year-old's going to give up that time.
Yeah.
You need, for every area and every league, you need the head of refs or whatever, and he can't be like an older bloke in an office in a way. He sort of needs to be an active ref. You need someone coming to your games. And the thing I struggled with as a ref is I had no idea what the pathway was. Like, it was a Saturday job. It was 30 quid for 2 hours work, or back-to-back games for the best. That was the easiest way to make money. But I enjoyed refereeing, and I think I was all right at it. I had no idea how I could stay in it and how I could progress. And I think that's where your dropout becomes, because it gets to that point where you get to an age, as you do with everything with playing, you get to that certain age where you decide whether I'm going to take something seriously or not, or whether I'm going to drop it. Like, there's a lot of things that get dropped as you get older. And reffing was always going to be that, because I was always going to go get a different job. I was always going to reallocate that time. So I think that's where the top to bottom progression needs to be. Is there's no point. I reffed a cup final. Well, I linoed a cup final with a 50-year-old bloke and a 35-year-old bloke, and they were going on about the pathway, blah de blah. What's the point? The one bloke couldn't move, and the other bloke, surely, I don't know him, but I'd assume he'd be going other ways in his career.
Yeah.
He's not going to pack in his job, because at some point during this pathway, you're going to be reffing lower leagues with not enough money for a lifetime sort of thing. You have to live your life. So they have to come in almost. Academy is the wrong word, because it doesn't. But there has to be some way where the FA can say, we've got a kid here who can do it. We've got a kid here who can take the stick. You get scored every week. Look at those scores, and then the FA need to reach out to them and say, look, we want to put you through this pathway. I think there's 8 steps.
Yeah.
You do the next step, more money, bosh, I would have done it. From there, next step, more money, bosh, I would have done it. And that's where the FA need to step in. They focus so much on these wanky sort of like FA respect, and you get an email. I had to wear high-vis socks because I was under 18 or something. Load of bollocks. Yeah. Tell me what I can do to keep me in it.
Do you think there's something that the FA could do regarding the clubs? And look, we know football clubs have a lot of money. League 2, Vanarama, North, Conference Prem, they all have a sufficient amount of money, except obviously the ones that go into administration and crumble. But whether it's TV rights, advertisement, they all make a fair enough income. You got like Adam Rooney on like £2,000 a week at Stratford at the moment. Like, what? That would be unheard of 10 years ago. Football clubs, no, he's at Stratford now. He's moved on. Yeah, Stratford. Yeah, that's the level we're talking.
Didn't even know they had like that.
That's the level we're talking at, and pay £2,000 a week below Conference North. But anyway, my point is, you get the ref, like you said, the ref's getting the best scores. You pick them up and you say every football club in the 92 needs to take on a ref, take on 2 refs, need to put money into him, put time into him, get a course going, allocate a bit of your pitch, and you put that money towards him. They'll never ref a game involving your team or a rival, so there's no affiliation. But therefore, the clubs and you do it with each age group, each year of the academy, you'd have a ref, whether it's just reffing the games, like the mini games they have, or reffing the friendlies, or reffing the younger games, and you bring them up as the game kind of grows and continues.
Almost as a hub.
But you say to these, you pay these refs well. You pay them maybe not on the level of footballers getting paid, but you say to them, look, you're going to earn. We're going to give you digs. We're going to pay you enough to keep you going.
Or transport. I really think that needs to be done because it's like, it's depending on what the deal is. Everyone's got different parents, but like, you might earn 30 quid and your dad might be one of those blokes who says, I want a tenner for the petrol. Or he might just say, well, it's your job, you get yourself there. And suddenly you've got half an hour bike rider in your front of you. So the transport is something else they need to look at, I think.
Can I just make 2 more points about it? First one, this is me just being like slagging off refs like I usually do. Referees, same category, bouncers. They're both power hungry. They run that off. Not a lot of referees.
We are trying to solve youth referees.
They're stupid. Literally, they're just like they're bullied as children. They want that like their power. Okay, that's just my opinion.
Have you got any second point to bring here? Any facts or any
second point? If you're on about paying referees more, especially at the top level, obviously when little Liam's 13, fucking some parents shouting at him, he makes the wrong decision. Not the end of the world. These refs at the top level, I want more accountability for these shocking decisions.
No, I'd agree with that.
Okay, so one way is demotions. I did say the second point was coming and it was a lot better. I want demotions. Kevin Friend makes that shocking decision at Villa a couple of years ago. I want him down in League 2 for a few weeks. Whilst he thinks about his actions.
I'm fairly sure there is a system for
and
that.
And then I want interviews after. I want interviews and justification.
You can't really control demotions.
I don't think interviews would be necessary.
Or like just a review.
We could just hear what's going on in VAR. What is the problem? Right, you've got him watching that Mendy Bowen clash, West Ham Chelsea.
Yeah.
What is the problem with me hearing why he's doing? Like, I want to hear why Mike Riley or whoever's in VAR, Mike Dean. I want them to hear why he's saying, why he's trying to challenge him. Why? I really don't see the problem in that.
They're probably spinning the wheel, like no.
But the other thing I would say is similar to the hearing it, and when you do anything as a referee, and even at grassroots, you have to submit while you've done it, like a booking or whatever. And in the Premier League, that's going to be much more detailed.
Yeah.
At the end of the game, why can't they be published? I watched even Wolves Southampton. None of this was controversial, but there was 3 or 4 yellow cards that were given from a bloke who's obviously never played the game before.
Yeah.
So even in the small things, I'd like to see what he's written down after the game. What was his reason, and then we can start to understand. Because what people have got to remember is how fast the game is. The human eye. It's incredibly difficult to see everything. So we're not, jumping on here saying refs should get 100% right.
No, but when they're getting VAR, they're looking at it in slow motion again. To the monitor and still making shocking decisions.
No, and that's what I agree with. There should be some way where we're paying our money. Like it's part of the game.
I know.
There should be a reason why they declare it. But equally, with the VAR, the one massive thing of the VAR that they've got wrong is this whole concept of when it goes to VAR. They're not looking to overturn the initial decision.
Correct.
They're looking to support the initial decision. That's where you're wrong.
Yeah.
Because I've played a bit of rugby and I've watched a bit of rugby. When he goes to the VAR, the first question is, say they've scored, try yes or no. It's not justify I've got this right.
Yeah.
And that's how VAR should be used. And they shouldn't be afraid to overturn them. And the same way when they send them to the monitor, that's obviously buying time.
Yeah.
Like Gary Neville's come out and said it.
Yeah.
But it should be a much more slick system. If you've got a trained professional looking at a screen with a replay, he should be able to go, Andy, wrong, penalty. That's all it takes.
My 2 points regarding referees, like Hilliard make his too, and I think there's so much conversation you could have, and we'll go on to you after about what your opinions are. But point 1, referees, they're human. They realise that if you're going to give a bad decision to Brighton versus United, you're going to get less stick given it to Brighton than you are giving it to United. You give a bad decision, you give a penalty against United, you know you're going to get hammered, right? You know you're going to get absolutely hammered. Is that a problem? I think it 100% is. I think it could go through all the categories. Lower league, you're playing at, I don't know, Bury AFC.
Yeah.
They have
I went to a Bury game. South Liverpool versus Bury.
Yeah.
I think it was 400 people there. Probably 350 of them were Bury. Like,
I'm telling you now, I do the programs for Everton who play in that league, and I go through the attendances and do the attendances for each game, and it's usually we're talking about 100 people, 90 people at a good day. Bury come to town, they bring 900 to some games.
It was pretty much added on to your point. Referees are human. They like as much as you want a referee to be a robot of getting every decision right. Pressure's.
Has he not just asked for a robot referee?
No, I said I want robot linesmen. When they yes or no decisions. Because a foul is not necessary. It's subjective. When you got 40,000 fans shouting referees, next words. Is that surely as a referee's a human? That's going to have an effect on them.
Is that the next word? The referees are human. They're going to.
Exactly. That's what my point is. Into that pressure.
There's if even like.
Is that not just home advantage? You should win home games.
No, but it's not. It's not because it's big club advantage. Because if they give a foul against Man United, like I said earlier, they're going to get way more backlash online, on social media, everything by United fans. But it's the same in lower league because you're playing against Bury. You give a bad decision against Bury, you're going to get battered. You give one for Everton, you've got a few blokes on the side of their dog going, hold on, referee, what's this? My other point.
It's like the referees in like South America. They get like stabbed in the middle.
Wow, great. That is allegedly. My other point was, and I think this actually needs to stop. You load at Sky Sports News, BBC Sport. You want to see what the other refs are saying. Peter Walton on BT Sport.
Get him out of the game.
But my point is, the referees' union is tight. They will back each other. What's his Dermot Gallagher? Is it on Sky Sports News?
Sky, yeah.
Oh my God, that bloke would rather die than say anything bad about his ex-colleagues on Sky. It could be the worst decision ever. He'd find a way to twist it into a good decision. Just be honest. Say that's Mike over there. He was a good ref. I'm not saying he's a bad ref, but he messed up there.
Yeah.
How hard is it to do that? And then you say that, and that's what's going to make the other referees listen. They listen to each other. If you're a player, and Roy Keane or Gary Neville, you're a young right back, and Gary Neville's criticising you, saying you need to do this better, you need to do that better. You listen. Some of these referees, especially the young ones that they bring in from abroad. I know that Aussie has been promoted to the Premier League.
I'm saying he had a shocking performance against someone, but I can't remember who it was.
I know exactly which one. I think it might be an Arsenal game, but. Young referees like him, they will look up to the big refs over the years. They will, whether you like it or not, because like we look up to when you're younger, you look up to the players that play for Villa. Yeah. But you're playing when you're younger, you want to be actually young when you're like 5 years old because he's playing for Villa and he's playing left wing. These referees will take note and they'll take criticism of the players.
Just quickly on this though, like we talk about the older refs. I think something in refereeing though, like the personality should be encouraged.
Yeah,
like there's nothing wrong. All right. Let me be careful there. There's a lot wrong with Mike Dean.
Mike Dean took it too far.
There's nothing wrong with like a referee having a laugh and a joke with a player, and equally holding his hand up. And I think if the refs became more human, we'd accept their human mistakes, and that's where a big issue comes from.
I'm saying again, just we just brainstorming. I'm not sure how much what time it's in this, but was it like? It's not basketball or something, or tennis. Where you get a certain amount of shouts to.
Tennis, you get free challenge.
Cricket, you get free challenge. I didn't really know loads about that whole concept, but I was wondering if any of you did. Whether you think that's something that could be incorporated.
I've had this argument on Twitter with someone, believe it or not, a couple of years ago now, and I said
asking for the VAR check.
I think it was underneath a Garth Crooks tweet or something. Like I said, each player, right? You should per half, you should get an attacking VAR shout. And a defensive VAR shot where the captain can go to the ref and say there's a 50-50 offside, the ref doesn't give it offside, the captain should go, I want a VAR review on that. And you can use his VAR review in a defensive situation where the attacking team scored against them or where they've had a goal disallowed. It would never happen at all because it would put the game in dispute and all that. But I don't think it'd be the worst idea ever.
The only other thing, but with VAR, the only issue is we always talk about other sports with technology and how well they use them. But every other sport's so much slower and it has natural breaks. The issue with football, especially for us like we go to games, I think the more time you spend stood there, unless they made it a transparent system where you did know what was going on, it only gets worse. Like, I don't want my game to be broken down. You've already had 5 subs. It's just slow as it's already getting slower, and you're watching less football, you're getting less bang for your buck. Like,
what's your thoughts on the whole refereeing decisions?
I've got to be honest. I saw a tweet off Stephen Warnock, the ex-player earlier, and he said they should just like not all ex-players, but they should get some ex-players in the VAR hub or whatever, just because they know what's going on. They played the game, haven't they? Like, you see, I don't know, that Van Dijk red card incident. Maybe an ex-player says, yeah, it's too high, you can't tackle that.
I think you got to be careful though, because I do think it's a good point.
Yeah, along with refs, because
he's got a player saying
the defensive player is going to favour Van Dijk. The attacking player is not going to favour Van
Dijk. You get neutral players on there anyway.
Well, that's what I also saw.
If there are neutral
today's
players,
guest in the VAR box.
I saw this tweet by Stephen Warnock, and it was quite
Jimmy Buller.
I was looking through the responses, and it made me laugh because people were saying
you wouldn't a bish on and stuff.
You wouldn't want like a Harry Kane once he's retired in there. You'd want some like average Joe, like a proper
celebrity appearances.
you'd want like Nakamba in there, like someone with that ilk, someone who's never good enough, made a solid amount of Premier League appearances, but was never any good. Someone who's not going to have any bias. United versus Tottenham, for example.
Right.
No big name.
I've got to say, at the point where we're debating Luca Bish or Marvellous Nakamba entering VAR, I'm going to wrap this up. Okay? So obviously we could talk about refs and VAR for days, for weeks. Let us know your thoughts. Obviously something's got to change, but let's look at how we can change it. We know it doesn't work. We know they're shite. Let's see what we can do going forwards. That's what we need to do now, isn't it? Talking football. Correct. But that's refs and the VAR's done for another week. Hopefully we won't be talking about them in a bad way next week.
I guarantee we will. So, back with the Two Banks of Fourcast. It's our weekly prediction round where we go through, try and get some bang on results, and we also have an obscure player pick at the end. If they score, we get an extra 5 points. Last week, it was a very poor week for all of us. It wasn't quite week 3 where we had some good scores. Adam came back with 3 points, so that's 3 correct results, not direct scores. So, like, if you had Chelsea to win 5-0 and they won but didn't get the score, it would be a point. If he'd have guessed 2-1, he would have got the 3. So that's basically the concept, like a league table. But yeah, Adam got 3. Liam got 4, I got 4, and Cal Lane, who was our guest last week, in the 4th seat, because we have a new person each week, got 5. And yeah, we go for the season. Whoever's winning at the end, we'll work out a prize eventually. I think I'm miles ahead, so I'll have to take a week out.
Have we got my points from the other week or not?
Batch got 5 at the first week he did.
Goes to the guest points.
It'll go in the guest points. So yeah, the league table currently stands myself on 29, Adam on 14, but needs a game. He's a game down. Liam on 13
from all games.
The spare seat on 15, which you're actually being beat by the 4th man. And Aki, he's missed a few, but he will be back soon.
Do you want to add Aki to the 4th man?
Yeah, well, we could do, but it gets a bit fruity then.
And Harry doesn't win.
Yeah. But anyway,
let's get into it. Let's do it.
This week will kick us off. We're in London. Early kick-off. Derby, Fulham versus Chelsea. What do you reckon?
I wouldn't say I'm convinced by Chelsea at the moment. Fulham are looking good, but
let's go for a bold one.
I've got about Chelsea. I'm going to go 2-0. 2-0.
Fulham at home. They don't like Chelsea more than Chelsea don't like them. Mitrovic can't stop scoring. 2-1 Fulham.
I'm going to go 2-0 Fulham, same lines as you.
So I was going to be really niche and say Fulham are going to win, but now you two have said it. So I'm going to go for Fulham to be on top all game. Chelsea just have a moment of quality. 1-0 Chelsea.
I don't know why I said 2-0.
Bournemouth, obviously great win against Forest last week. Host Brighton, a great win from them as well, so it should be a good game.
Brighton on fire at the moment. Gross, Trossard, McAllister, all looking good. I'll go 3-1 Brighton. On the south coast.
Well, here's my theory about Brighton. They only seem to play amazing when they're on TV. I swear to God. No, this season you look at their results. They did United on TV. They did Leicester on TV. There are other games that like drew 0-0 to Newcastle or whatever.
They battered Newcastle.
But what I'm saying is, I don't think it'll be a rout like everyone else probably will. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think 1-1.
Yeah, not bad. I think this is a different ball. Isn't Gary O'Neill? Is that the right name?
Yeah.
Different sort of Bournemouth side, but Brighton do look good. Have you gone 2-1 Brighton?
1-0, 1-1.
I'm going to go 2-1 Brighton.
I think surely Brighton can't they can't be getting really good results in every game. Bournemouth, obviously it's not a derby, but Bournemouth, I think in this league are going to see Brighton as the most sort of bit of needle between them. On Bournemouth's end, I'm not saying that's going to be the same on Brighton's end, so I'm going to go for just a 1-1 draw.
What could have been the El Sacchio, but Gerrard might have bought himself a bit more time with that point against City. Leicester host Villa in the 3 o'clock.
I went to this game last year. Boring game, awful game. But Villa confident now after that decent result against City. I'm going to go Coutinho masterclass. 3-0. 3-0 Villa.
Oh, brave. I don't think Leicester can be any worse than they were, and I think they've got a goal in them. Villa, I just worried that City game was a bit more counter-attack, hope and pray. That City could have easily had a few more if they played how they usually play. I'm not buying into the whole Villa back to form yet. Look, we could easily go there and beat them, and my mind's changed. But I think we'll beat them 1-0.
Just got to be optimistic.
I think I'm going to go with almost sort of classic Villa Wolves style. You've got a little bit positive. Leicester 2, Villa 0. Come crash and burn.
I think Villa are going to win 3-0. I think this is a little turning point for Gerrard. I think he's recognised it's a learning curve for him in management.
Do you reckon he knows his best 11?
He's recognised he can change system. He sort of humbled himself a bit.
He said that as well.
Almost going back to basics. But I'm going to say Leicester 1-0, so I cover myself. Villa win, fair enough.
Fair.
I'm happy.
Never bet on your own team.
So Leicester 1-0 is what I'm submitting.
Liverpool host Wolves. Out of form Liverpool host a Wolves team that just got their first win, but have no striker.
Again, same as Chelsea. Yeah, same as Chelsea. Not too convinced of Wolves, but then again not too convinced with Liverpool. Then again, though, they are at Anfield. I think they get a job done. Maybe it'll be a close game. I'm going to go 1-0. 1-0 Liverpool.
I think Liverpool classic bounce back at Anfield. Wolves don't look convincing when they're playing teams out. I think Wolves, when they're playing a team where they're going to have possession, look convincing. You think they look great, and then suddenly they play a team like Liverpool, and it's like, well, okay, out of possession, maybe not the best. I'm going to go 4-0 Liverpool.
I'm going to go the opposite from what you've just said, H. I'm going to say less ball but more space.
Right, okay.
And I think that's where sometimes we've always been good against the bigger sides. I also think Mateus Nunes is going to be playing for his move in 2 seasons' time. So it'll be a masterclass from that bloke. Serious football player.
Has he been good?
Unreal. I don't think he's going to come away with the best numbers this season, but if you watch him with the eye, you can see the quality.
Yeah.
Sort of player on the halfway line, facing the wrong way, 3 players around him, before you know it,
turns up.
He's turned and gone.
Yeah.
You boys back Villa. I go back the Wolves.
I didn't.
Wolves 2, Liverpool 1. If Diego Costa signs. Diego Costa to score a winner.
Well, the difference I've always seen between the likes of City and Liverpool is City will sweep teams away 5 every week. Liverpool are much more of a
being the
get a job done side. So I think it'll be. I think it's be a very boring game. I think it's going to be Liverpool 2-0.
I think you steer clear of it on your Aka though.
Yeah,
I don't think you touch it, just in case. Not Wolves they'll throw up a weird result every season where they put 3 past the big 6. But yeah. Last 3 o'clock on Saturday, Southampton, Brentford.
I'm really liking Brentford at the moment. I'm thinking Thomas Frank, class, and Buemo, Tony. It's a good partnership up top.
Do you just list players who play for each club? Is that your thing?
They're good players. But then again, Southampton they're inconsistent. You know, beat Chelsea the other week, then lost.
Aribo, Ward-Prowse, Joe Pereira.
And then lost to an awful Wolves side last weekend.
Harsh.
So I think it'll be a tight game. I'll go 1-1.
An awful Wolves side. It's so, and again, you do not. If you're a betting man, you do not touch this, because Brentford, when they beat United, went for a bit of a rut, and then they put 5 past Leeds out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And Southampton the same. We all thought they were going down, and then they decided to come back from 2-0 down against Leeds. Again, I don't know. It's such a toss up this, but I'm gonna go with 1-1 just because it's a cop out and it's just such a 1-1 game.
I think. Obviously, I've just watched Saints play. Actually, really impressed. And if Shea Adams knew how to header a ball, we'd be talking differently. So I'm gonna back Saints. Saints at home. Shout out to Matchday Vlogs on TikTok. Great content. Southampton 2, Brentford 0.
I'm also just going to go for 1-1. I don't feel like Brentford can. They're not going to win every game as they've shown this season, but I don't think Southampton are going to. I don't think they're going to put them away.
Can we have that in quotes? Adam Hilliard, Brentford won't win every game. No way.
And the big one of the weekend, and it's a game where we're going to really see where both teams are at, I think, especially Spurs. Man City host Tottenham under the lights. Under the lights tax is huge, we've established at the Etihad. Your thoughts?
Is it dark by 5:30?
It's getting there by half time.
I'll give you half time.
It's a nice little sunset,
Headlights are turned off for the way there, but
I'm not going to do much analysis for this one, not list too many players. Thanks, Fudge.
so just the 11 at start.
I'm not buying too much into this Spurs thing. I'm just going to say City bounce back 3-0.
I think Tottenham's record against City doesn't lie in the recent seasons.
This is what I wanted to go down.
Infamous.
This is what I wanted to go down.
And I think if Spurs get a win here, that's going to raise some serious eyebrows and think they've got unbeaten against some scrappy teams and then they go beat City. Then you're looking at them thinking, okay, maybe we've misunderestimated the Spurs side. But I don't think they'll do that. I think City keep the ball, they knock it round, put 2 past them in the first half, finish off 3-0. Happy days.
Yeah, I think I'd love to back Spurs, but the issue is if you back Spurs, you're looking at City getting 1 point out of 2 games. Like, that doesn't really happen, does it? If you include the Villa game. I think tight. I think Spurs are going to do well, but like H says, I think City will get that goal. So I'm going to go 2-1 City.
See, like, my head's telling me that obviously Spurs are very infamous against City, but I feel like what's letting me down this little prediction league is the amount of sort of out there results I'm going for. So I'm going to start to play it safe. I know it's a boring way to play, but I've got to look at the bigger picture. So I think it's going to be, like this City team have always got someone else up their sleeve.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go for 3-1 Manchester City.
The first of the 2 o'clock Sunday games, Arsenal host Everton, looking to bounce back.
If I'm not wrong, last game of last season, I think Arsenal beat them like 4-1, 5-1 or something like that. I think they could do something similar. I'll go 4-1, I think.
I think Arsenal proper. I'm not buying the hype with this Everton side yet. I think they played alright against Liverpool, but it's Derby Day, form goes out the window. I really think that Arsenal humble them 3-1.
Yeah, I think Arsenal breeze past Everton 3-0.
Yeah, again, I think 2-0 Arsenal.
West Ham host Newcastle.
Always
Stay clear again as well.
That'd be a good game, actually. I think 2 of the teams looking to push for a
West Ham really need a win again, by the way.
Yeah.
One win this season. 1 win in 6.
They got a good draw against Spurs 2 games ago.
Yeah, I guess.
At home. Oh, I'm not sure about this one. I think we're just going to play safe. I'll go 2-2 draw.
I think West Ham win. I think West Ham win, but it's going to be a scrappy game. I will not be putting money near this game. Maybe a card bet, because that is disgusting. But yeah, 0-0.
I think West Ham they're going to get 3 points on the board. This can't go on. This isn't going to go on forever. They're a much better side than the points they've got on the table. So West Ham 2, Newcastle 0. Hopefully for West Ham fans, their season sort of kicks on
a bad
this
side,
week.
though, are they?
They're not, but
Isak looked good against Liverpool.
It's just an impossible one to call this.
I think, again, I could just repeat what everyone said. So West Ham 1-0.
And the last game on Sunday, not really, maybe getting there under the lights a bit at a time. But Palace host United at Selhurst.
Palace is a tough place to go, as we've seen with Villa at the start of the season. I'm just not sure about Man United. Casemiro, when he's come in, he's come off the bench a couple of times, hasn't set the world alight. He's been okay. Hasn't set the world alight. Still, McTominay's playing.
Has
over him.
Casemiro ever? Is that what Casemiro does?
Yeah, but he's got a quality player and great defensive midfielder. I think maybe Man United might be a little bit too soft for this game. I think Palace will nick it 1-0.
I think United get humbled.
Zaha's been in great form as well.
Yeah. I think United get humbled. I think Palace... If Palace can play at any set... If Palace can play as good as they know they can play, they win the game, by the way. Because Palace are not to be messed with this season when they get going. But the thing that puts United in favour, I think, is you never know which Palace are going to show up. And that'll be the big deciding factor of which way this game goes. United just seem to be a different kind of beast right now in terms of form. But I think it ends 1-1.
I think you look at Palace, any Big 6 team, Palace, when Palace are at home, is a banana skin fixture. I think possibly after the good form United have had, Ten Hag might slip up here in sort of that naive sense that I spoke about a couple of weeks ago. Palace, just to be too powerful for him. 2-0 Palace.
I think 2-1 Man United.
And the final game of the week is Leeds host Forest on Monday.
2 Monday games? Or?
No, that was a Sunday. Goals, I'm going with.
Yeah, I'll see
Leeds
goals
Forest.
as well.
Leeds Forest, big
I'll
game.
see goals there.
I see cards.
Leeds have had a good start to the season, haven't they? But, again...
That was humbling last week, though.
Yeah,
And the manager sent off.
A massive humbling. I think Forest will be proper up for this game. I think they might go back to basics a little bit. Again, like I said, be up for the game. Maybe play less the luxury players. More of your Koyates. I think they can nick this. I think they can nick it 2-1.
I think 2-2 draw.
3-3 draw.
I mean, what Forest can do and what they will do is a different thing. So, everyone's saying goals will be different. 0-0.
Nice, here we
I think it's an
Nice.
exciting game, though.
Moving on to the second part of the Two Banks of Forecast. Your obscure player for 5 points if they score this week. Anyone in mind?
Yeah, but I would just like to say first, it's been cut, but Batch said Jordan Ireland. It's a horrific decision. Bear in mind, he plays up front for a team that's doing well. But I'm going to go for... I say him every week because that's the good logic. Vladimir Kufal. I say him every week, he's got to score eventually.
I'm going to go Wolves related. Kilman and Collins have been fantastic this season. One of them's going to pull up.
You want to say one?
So Totti Gomez, who will replace one of them, will score against Liverpool.
Totti Gomez. Oh my god, alright. If this guy scores, I want 20 points.
No.
I want 20 points. Augustinson for Villa. Yet to have a minute on the pitch in either the Carabao or the Premier League. It's his time.
Do you understand the concept now,
He gets subbed on for a Luca Dean leg break 10 minutes in. Augustinson comes on, header, out of nowhere.
This week we're going to celebrate a Luca Dean leg break.
Ignites his Aston Villa career.
Typical Villa. Every time I watch him play, I think he's awful. Daniel Amati is going to score from a corner. That's how bad Villa are.
You'd have like 100 points if you say like, Man United are going to lose like Sancho to a big injury and going to sign like Chuck Wazy on like a
Shut up.
on an emergency deal. He's going to go score.
We'll get more points than that, or if I turn around and go, I think Martin Dubravka's going to score for United.
On it, own goal.
But anyway, just before we
put it out there, it's 10-1 for Augustinson to score any time. It's more for Kamara to score, even though he's playing every week.
10-1 any time.
10-1.
That is all fraud. Yeah, if you
Don't have money on it.
Anyway,
right.
So that will make it interesting.
What was your-
We'll put a 5 on it.
what was your last?
So just before we wrap up, we forgot to do it last week. I want your team of the week from last week's weekend. I want to know who you've captained in your fantasy
and your voice,
but probably your vice, because I'm expecting you all to have Haaland, and Adam and Harry. I want to know bet of the weekend.
Okay.
Right.
Batch.
I'm going to start with Harry, actually. See what...
Put me in your team,
No.
I'll try to get
Okay.
Yeah.
My team of the weekend.
So everyone's team of the week from last week.
Try and rattle through it.
Just give me a task.
Aston Villa, you draw against City.
Bet.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm going to go for Bournemouth.
I think I'm gonna have to. It'd be rude not to go for Bournemouth, wouldn't it?
If you know me, you know I'm a bit of a Graham Potter fan. Brighton.
Yeah.
Scored a lot of goals the weekend. Exciting play.
So, fantasy captain, if it's Haaland, I want to know who you would be captaining if it wasn't Haaland or who your vice is.
Yeah, you obviously have to have Haaland as captain to keep up. I did have Salah as captain up until last game week, to be fair, and he's also been shocking, so he's now my vice captain.
Rogue shout, might also be my transfer I'm going to bring in. I've gone Leeds 3-3. Sinistera?
Yeah. Scoring a lot of goals.
Nice.
Isn't he?
Playing well.
Nice. I was tempted by the Tony.
Yeah.
I think maybe he's at his peak.
done, yeah.
Maybe I missed that wave. I've stayed low with Gabby Jesus as captain. I only made Haaland captain a couple of weeks ago. I obviously had a bigger start. I think Jesus is the man. I really think he's the man. So I'm going Gabby Jesus vice, Haaland captain. But I would go Jesus captain if I didn't have Haaland.
Obviously, I had Haaland's captain. Like, why wouldn't you? But I think this weekend maybe I'll get a Saka in or a Martinelli as
Or
my
Jordan
captain. Jordan Ayew, good player. And then vice captain, I've got Bailey. Just kept the faith of him, and he delivered.
Yep, nice.
Right, last point of the week. Sorry, Batch. Got to be Harry and Adam only for legal reasons. If you could do either your request, I want to know what
Bet of
request
the
a
week.
bet
This
or
is
bet of the
Daft
week, or what's your 4-team acca going to be?
Okay,
Let's see.
I
how
won't
we
give you
go.
an acca. I'll give you a bit more in-depth bet. I'm just thinking right off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I think Leeds and Forest over 5 cards in the game. I think Everton, Arsenal, both teams to score. I think Palace to score against United, and then to top it off as a 4 bet builder. I'll go Brighton to draw, just Brighton to draw in there with Bournemouth.
Nice.
I think I'll give you some good odds for that.
Little treble was that?
Quad. Yeah.
I'm not as expert. I'm a bit more of a punter than Harry,
I wouldn't say
so
I'm an expert.
if you're
but-
listening to something not to bet on, this is it.
Yeah, this isn't tips, by the way, and we don't encourage gambling. We just say
Yeah,
this
I
is what
think
we'll be
I'll
doing on the
just
weekend.
I'd stick to my predictions. I'll go. I don't even know what you can even bet these days. I'll go.
anything.
Anything. Just give us some.
No
information.
first
Put
half-
down the streak, mate.
No first half goals between Villa and Leicester, Leeds and Forest, and yeah, I'll stick with those 2. Don't know how much money that's going to return.
I'm
Fuck off,
I'm
mate.
pretty sure he does some good
I like
ones.
the old Sky Sports goal scorers bet, so I'm going to go confident. I want Haaland, Jesus, Mitro want to score as
Nice.
one, and then we're looking other ways. I reckon there's something in that Villa game. Kamara red.
Oh, I'd stick Kamara red against Arsenal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come
But-
on, he does like a challenge.
Nice.
But anyway, guys, I think it's been a slightly longer episode this week. We've had a lot to talk about. Let us know your point, what you want to. Let us know how you feel on Forest, refs, VAR.
We want to know your VAR suggestions.
Yeah,
We
what more?
do.
North
That
London.
is such a good talking point. And
Yeah.
Everyone's got an opinion on it. So
And hopefully we'll get some more content out on TikTok for you guys as well. It's difficult for Ed to find the quick clips, but shout out to Ed doing the Worcester Half Marathon.
Yeah.
But hopefully we get more coverage on TikTok. And if we don't see you on TikTok, we'll see you YouTube, Spotify next
Yeah.
week for another 2 Banks of 4 chat.
thanks
Cheers,
for
guys.
watching. See you next week.